Alrighty, folks, today is Election Day in New York City. Will Mamdani do it? Will New Yorkers do it? Will you? By the way, I'll be on CNN's live stream tonight talking about it as it all unfolds with Isabel Brown, with Anna Kasparian, with a wide variety of others, Charlemagne the God. Should be interesting, so tune into that as well. First, we have less than 2,000 Daily Wire lifetime memberships remaining. Yes, these are selling like hotcakes. Turns out, having all access benefits for life with no renewals is something everyone wants. So here are your options. You could buy one while they're still available, or you could win mine. Yes, I have one, as like one of the co-founders of the company. I have my very own lifetime membership to give away. I made it extremely easy to enter. Download that free Daily Wire Plus app in the App Store, open it, tap follow under my picture. That's it. You're now entered, and who knows? I could be calling you to give you my personal lifetime membership. But before any of that happens, you need to download that Daily Wire Plus app and go check out that app and follow me to enter to win. Alrighty, folks, it's Election Day in New York City. And the question on everyone's mind, will Zohran Mamdani, the pro-jihadist, pro-Marxist candidate for mayor of New York, be elected mayor of the world's financial capital? And one of the questions that I sort of have to ask here is, if you're a Curtis Sliwa voter, who are you and why? Truly, because what is the point of your vote? Okay, we get it. You don't like Cuomo and you don't like Mamdani either. Okay, welcome to planet Earth where most people don't like either Cuomo or Mamdani. But I'm just wondering, what do you get by voting for Curtis Sliwa at this point? Do you get one of those hats? Like what precisely is the draw to vote for Curtis Sliwa? Curtis is fine, don't get me wrong. And if you're in a rational city, maybe he might have an outside shot at being mayor of New York, but he doesn't. So what are you doing? If you take your vote and you put it in the Sliwa box, that is a vote effectively for Zohran Mamdani, period, end of story. However, this brand new Atlas Intel survey released on Monday shows Zohran Mamdani up 43.9% to 39.4% for Andrew Cuomo. And in fact, the survey finds that Andrew Cuomo would beat Mamdani 49.7% to 44.1% in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup. In that poll, by the way, Sliwa is claiming 15.5% support. Guys, no, don't do this. Don't do it. It is not worth whatever points you think you are scoring by not voting for Andrew Cuomo. Listen, I don't like Andrew Cuomo either. I think Andrew Cuomo is a terrible governor of New York. I don't understand for the life of me why the mayoralty of New York came down to the guy who killed all the old people and grabbed ass and ran out of old people and an outright third worlder. I don't understand. When I say third worlder, I mean like as a philosophy. Like Zohran Mamdani is a third worldist, meaning he believes that all the poor places on earth are the fault of Western civilization. He believes that the only reason that there are failing parts of planet Earth is because of colonialism and because of Western imperialism and capitalism and all that kind of nonsense. So those are your two choices, but voting for Curtis Sliwa ain't going to fix that. By the way, you know who has said this quite correctly? The President of the United States. He put out a statement on Truth Social last night, quote, "If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely I will be contributing federal funds, other than the very minimum as required, to my beloved first home, because of the fact that, as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send as president good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful." I mean, that's true. "I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of his class, and as mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this: a vote for Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani." You gotta love the asides from President Trump. They are very amusing. "Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not." The President of the United States hits the nail on the head. And in fact, chaos is very likely to reign in New York City if indeed Zohran Mamdani wins. According to the New York Post, brand new poll from Jail Partners, about 9% of New Yorkers say they will definitely leave the city entirely if Mamdani is elected the 111th mayor. That's like 765,000 people. Another 25% of New Yorkers, about 2.12 million, said they would consider packing up and leaving. And among high earners, 7% of those making over $250,000 a year said they would definitely flee. Now again, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's an overstatement, but a lot of people are going to leave. If you're mobile, do you want to stick around while this guy wrecks the city? while he destroys the city? That, of course, is the big question. Now, one of the things that has happened with Zoran Mamdani over the course of his candidacy, there's been an attempt to remake and remold Zoran Mamdani. That, all those videos, those old videos of him being super radical, that's not the new smiley Zoran Mamdani. That's the old negative Nelly Zoran Mamdani. The one who's so relentlessly pessimistic about America. The new smiley Zoran Mamdani is totally, totally different. Now, here's the thing. Zoran Mamdani's an actor. I mean, really, the dude acts a lot. Like, he is an actor. I don't even think he's a very good actor. I think he slaps on that smarmy grin, and it has about as much authenticity as a $3 bill, which, by the way, I'm sure he will be attempting to create in lieu of actual tax revenue. Zoran Mamdani is the kind of person who thought he was going to be a rap star after enjoying all the fruits of the best American education has to offer and turned himself into this. This is who Zoran Mamdani is, once and forever. Oh, no.
Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the glass, spin the rack on your natty. Spin the rack on through.
That's what you want in New York? That right there? That's what you're into? Mamdani's a fake. I mean, here is some video of Mamdani code switching, which again, I find untoward, whomever you are.
I actually created a playlist for Mira, who also happens to be my mother. Nepotism and hard work goes a long way.
We need our internet because we have all of our kids staying at home doing remote learning. And if you don't have internet, you can't be taught, you can't learn.
I was supposed to assist the music supervisor, but I ended up picking all the songs for the film.
City Hall is engulfed in corruption. A mayor could change this, and that's why I'm running.
Apparently, you are a rapper too.
I happen to be a rapper. I am a rapper proper.
This one. This is the one you want. And it's all the way down to his ridiculously fake campaign. I mean, truly fake. I'll admit the guy has some TikTok skills. It turns out that you can take even the biggest dud in the pile and for 30 seconds on TikTok make him look okay. This is why when you put Zoran Mamdani in debate, he completely falls apart. I mean, Zoran Mamdani is the kind of guy who eats a burrito with a fork and a knife, but eats rice with his hands, supposedly. Now, I don't know which one of those you believe. Do you think that Zoran Mamdani, like in his normal life, eats rice with his hands? Which, okay, I don't have to pretend that I think all cultural hallmarks are equivalently clean. I don't think eating rice with your hands is a good policy. Okay, if your culture eats rice with your hands, I suppose you can. It's gross to me. There's no way about it. Like I'm sorry. Like I don't think that all things that all cultures do are equally anti-germ. But I also don't believe he does this. I don't think Zoran Mamdani is sitting at home with his wife and there's a pot of rice and he just takes his hand and he scoops it in and just starts shoving it in his face. I don't think that... This is a dude who eats a burrito with a fork and a knife. Give me a break. He literally takes a dish that is wrapped in a wrap so that you can use your hands and he eats that with a fork and a knife. But when it comes to rice, which is mush, he shoves his... Give me... What a fake he is. Truly, what a phony. Oh, come on.
The third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle.
I'm not saying it, he's saying it. He's shoving rice in his mouth with his hands while talking about the Palestinian struggle as a third worldist. Okay, that's who Zoran Mamdani is. That's who he is. Okay? Or at least that's who he's pretending ideologically. He's a third worldist. But in terms of his actual mannerisms, he's an upper class white kid. Okay, that's the whole thing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And New Yorkers, the fact that so many of you have been taken in by this horse shit is unbelievable to me. It's truly incredible. How gullible are you people? And then we're supposed to believe that on some fundamental level, you also hear this a lot, Zoran Mamdani has on some fundamental level changed. No, he has not whatsoever. The only thing that Zoran Mamdani has changed is his affect. It's literally the only thing that he changed. Alrighty, folks, we'll get to more on Zoran Mamdani, this fake, this fraud, but a very genuine pro-Marxist and pro-jihadist candidate, obviously. First, we all know that costs have been all over the place. Groceries, gas, subscriptions, you name it. So it's not a surprise we tend to assume that everything is more expensive than it actually is. Case in point, 72% of Americans overestimate what life insurance costs. Turns out it might be more affordable than you think. Policy Genius makes finding and buying life insurance fast, easy, and surprisingly affordable. So if something happens to you, your loved ones do have that financial safety net. With Policy Genius, real users have gotten 20-year, $2 million policies for just $53 a month. Looking for life insurance can feel absolutely overwhelming. Policy Genius makes it surprisingly straightforward. They let you compare quotes from top insurers in just a few clicks, so you can find coverage that actually fits your need and your budget. What sets them apart? They have a team of licensed agents who will walk you through everything step by step. They'll answer your questions, handle the paperwork, advocate for you throughout that process. They lay out all your options clearly, cleanly, coverage amounts, prices, terms right in front of you. No guesswork, just clarity. And since life insurance is really, really, really important, it helps the Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace with thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from people who found exactly what they needed. We have life insurance. You need life insurance. It's just an important, responsible thing to have. Secure your family's future with Policy Genius. Head on over to policygenius.com/Shapiro to compare life insurance quotes from top companies. See how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Shapiro. Also, when I started Daily Wire, it felt like we had to figure out everything with almost no help. Editorial guidelines, studio setup, production schedule, branding, like the whole thing. Overwhelming. New decisions were needed daily. Well, finding that one tool that simplifies everything when you start a business becomes a game changer and a lifesaver for millions of businesses. That tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of literally all e-commerce in the United States. We use it for our own Daily Wire shop to make sure things are running smoothly and efficiently so you can get the goods. Now, you might be asking, what if I can't design a website or I'm worried people haven't heard of my brand? Not a problem. Shopify's got you covered from the start with beautiful, ready-to-go templates that match your brand style and help you find your customers through easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And if you need a hand with everyday tasks, their AI tools created specifically for commerce can help enhance product images, write descriptions, and more. Plus, their award-winning customer support is available 24/7 to share advice if you ever get stuck. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Shapiro. Go to shopify.com/Shapiro. That's shopify.com/Shapiro. Here, for example, is old Zoran Mamdani a few years ago telling a story about 9/11 and Islamophobia.
I think of on 9/11 when my teacher pulled me out of class, a classmate of mine and myself, and told us that we may get bullied because of what had just happened. And we didn't understand what had happened. And in fact, we were very lucky to have a teacher as kind and caring as that, because most Muslim students did not have that. And yet, what I really remember from that interaction was the understanding that now I was distinct. There was something about me that was different from my classmates. And it's a lesson that I was made to learn again and again, because a few years later, when I returned to New York City after a trip with my family abroad, I was taken aside at JFK and put in a double-mirrored room with immigration agents and asked, if I had just come from attending a terrorist training camp, and if I had intentions on attacking this country, and what my thoughts were on the government. And I was 15 years old, and I was terrified.
The real victim of 9/11 was Zoran Mamdani, but don't worry, he's changed, because a few years passed and he grew up and he realized that the real victims of 9/11, the real victims, the people who really were people like his aunt, who somebody supposedly gave a weird eye to on the subway one time.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
So much emotion. It's not fake at all. So much emotion.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
She's not his aunt. Wow, he has to stop.
Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Wow. I mean, the emotions, could you feel it? It's like the end of Terms of Endearment right there. And my goodness. I haven't seen that sort of acting since I don't even know when. Like Chris Farley and Tommy Boy or something. I mean, that's some acting right there. By the way, it wasn't his aunt. It was his father's cousin, which, as we all know, is what you call your aunt. Also, his aunt, his actual aunt, lived in Tanzania at the time and didn't wear a hijab. His unspecified father's cousin, we don't know anything about her, even her name. So basically, she might live in Canada like his girlfriend or something.
I was at the press conference yesterday. They said, can you tell us who your aunt is, who you were referring to? I said, yes, this is my aunt. This is my Zerafui. This is my father's cousin, and this was her story.
So how can you convince New Yorkers if that is the type of person that you are, in other words, that you don't tell the truth?
Well, it's not a lie. My father's cousin is my aunt. That's how I referred to her growing up my whole life, Zerafui.
I mean, it is technically a lie. I mean, like, a little bit. But don't worry, he's totally honest. And he's honest that he shifted about radical Islam also. I mean, like old Zohar Mamdani, for example, rapped about the Holy Land Five. Those would be people who went to jail because they were fronting for a terrorist group. The Holy Land Foundation was a front group for Hamas. It was a fundraising group for Hamas. And here is old Zohar Mamdani, you know, back in his rapping days when he wasn't wearing a shirt but was wearing an apron in a food truck. Which, again, I don't know what it is about Zohar Mamdani and his food habits. Guys, like, please, if you're going to be, like, cooking at a food truck, please wear a shirt. It's gross. And also eat rice with, like, a fork or a spoon. Like, please. That's all I ask of you. But here he was, back in his rapping days, rapping about the Holy Land Five. It's also very bad rap. Okay, but also, old Zohar Mamdani was the kind of person who screamed about genocide while wearing keffiyeh. And when I say old Zohar Mamdani, I mean, like, not all that old. I mean, like, you know, a couple of years ago. Because here's the thing about Zohar Mamdani, he's very, very young. So we're not talking about 20 years ago he did a bad thing. We're talking about, like, 5 minutes ago he did a bad thing. And now he's trying to claim that he is moderated in some way. I don't believe you, sir.
It has been 4 months of protesting a genocide. It has become harder and harder to wake up every morning and see more and more Palestinians massacred with our tax dollars.
Okay, and if that wasn't enough for you, he also defended the Columbia University so-called protesters, many of whom are trespassing or committing acts of violence.
I think these students have actually forced many of us to reckon with what's happening there, because for too many Americans, this has been something that is actually getting out of view. An example is that when students renamed the hall in Columbia from Hamilton Hall to Hind Hall, they were honoring a 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was killed in her car watching as her parents had been killed by the Israeli military prior. And for so many Americans, that was a name that they hadn't heard until these students made it one.
Well, this heroic man. Wow, but he's changed. That's when he was a state representative. You know, he's like old Zohar Mamdani would say that, for example, the New York City Police Department is basically the IDF, that they're the same. That's the old Zohar Mamdani.
We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. We are in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities to make clear the ways in which that struggle over there is tied to capital's interest over here.
So, like, the old Zohar Mamdani was like an anti-Semite, right, who would just randomly link the policies of the NYPD to the IDF somehow and then blame the Jews for NYPD policy. The new Zohar Mamdani, by contrast, is also a radical anti-Semite who, you know, during this campaign literally said that globalize the Intifada, which is a call for violence. Intifada is a violent uprising. And to globalize it would be to extend, you know, that uprising globally. That's literally what it means. He says it actually just means equality and struggle, as one would if one, you know, was not fond of Jews.
I know people for whom those things mean very different things. And to me, ultimately, what I hear in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights in standing up for Palestinian human rights. And I think what's difficult also is that the very word has been used by the Holocaust Museum when translating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising into Arabic, because it's a word that means struggle.
Sure.
And as a Muslim man who grew up post 9/11, I'm all too familiar in the way in which Arabic words can be twisted, can be distorted, can be used to justify any kind of meaning.
He was the real victim. Now he's going to tell us jihad is actually just a peaceful inner quest, which is very exciting. In case you weren't really clear on this, also, Zohar Mamdani refuses to say that Hamas should disarm. So just in case you were unclear on whether he is warm toward terrorism, the answer is yes. He most definitely is.
So what is your response to what Hamas is doing now?
I think those are bodies and remains that should absolutely be returned. And I think that I have no issue with critiquing Hamas or the Israeli government, because my critiques all come from a place of universal human rights. And my focus, however, is right here in New York City and transforming the most expensive city in America into one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker.
But, okay, I want to get to that, absolutely. But do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Oh, wow. He has no opinions. I mean, he shockingly has no opinions, but he found an opinion about like arresting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he has very strong opinions about. Getting the terrorist group to disarm, he has no opinions about it. It's very far away, you see. And if you believe that, then also he certainly eats rice with his hands on like a daily basis. Here he was in that same interview saying the sitting Prime Minister of Israel should be arrested, and also he has no opinions about whether Hamas should disarm.
You have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States. You've been very outspoken in your criticism of him. Do you stand by that? You would arrest him if he came here, if you were mayor?
I've said that this is a city that believes in international law, and this is a city that wants to uplift and uphold those beliefs. The Prime Minister...
The United States doesn't stand by the International Criminal Court.
It hasn't signed the treaty for the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court, however, has issued a warrant for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu.
But what grounds in the United States could you arrest him on?
As it has for Vladimir Putin. I've said that I believe that we should uphold arrest warrants by the International Criminal Court, and that we should do so only in abiding with all of the laws in front of us. I'm not going to make a new law to ensure that we can actually do this.
Do you think that Commissioner Tisch would allow you to arrest Netanyahu in New York City?
I've appreciated Commissioner Tisch's leadership of the NYPD, and I think that she's done a good job at lowering crime across the city.
We will get to his feelings about the police in a moment, but suffice it to say, I don't believe him there either. So just to get the record straight, we're supposed to believe he underwent an evolution in the course of the last 2.7 milliseconds from, thinking the real victims of 9/11 were family members of his, Muslims who people treated poorly, supposedly, to now he's probably fine on that issue. Or he used to support radical Islamic jihadism, but now he only kind of does support radical Islamic jihadism. Already coming up, Zoran Mamdani, he used to be really anti-police, but now he loves the Well, that's not true either. He really still doesn't really like the police. First, a recent Danish study found something deeply concerning. Just 1 year after an abortion, women were 50% more likely to need psychiatric treatment and 87% more likely to experience personality or behavioral disorders. These aren't just stats. They represent real women facing real struggles. This is why Preborn takes a different approach. When a woman walks through their doors, uncertain and afraid, she finds something she may not have expected. Genuine support. Through an ultrasound, she meets her baby for the first time, and suddenly what felt like an impossible situation begins to look different. But Preborn doesn't stop there. When a woman chooses life, they walk alongside her for up to 2 years, providing practical help like maternity clothes and diapers, as well as ongoing counseling and emotional support. It's care for the whole human being, addressing her physical needs, her mental health, and her future. As you think about your year-end giving, consider the greatest investment you could ever make, the gift of life. Dial pound 250, say keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Ben. All gifts are tax deductible. Preborn is a 5-star rated charity. That's preborn.com/Ben to make a difference for generations to come. Also, every business is asking the same question right about now. How do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are endless and guessing is really risky, but sitting on the sidelines is not an option because one thing is almost certain, your competitors are already making their move. No more waiting. With NetSuite by Oracle, you can put AI to work for you today. NetSuite stands as the #1 AI cloud ERP, earning the trust of over 43,000 businesses worldwide by delivering what modern companies need most. That unified platform that brings together financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM into a single source of truth. This connected data foundation is what sets NetSuite's AI apart. Instead of making educated guesses, it actually knows your business, which enables it to intelligently automate routine tasks, deliver actionable insights, and help you cut those costs while making fast, confident decisions powered by AI. Unlike bolt-on tools that sit awkwardly alongside your existing systems, NetSuite's AI is built directly into the platform that runs your business, creating a seamless experience that scales with you. And the result is an ERP system that doesn't just store your data, but actively works with it, learning from your operations to continuously improve efficiency and uncover opportunities you might otherwise miss. Whether your company generates millions or hundreds of millions in revenue, NetSuite gives you integrated intelligence you need to stay ahead of the competition and adapt quickly to market changes. Right now, get our free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/Shapiro. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/Shapiro. That's netsuite.com/Shapiro. Old Mom Donnie really hated the cops, really hated the cops. And by the way, again, this is Old Mom Donnie from 2 years ago saying that he was for defunding the police.
And we see so many situations where encounters with police, the police arrive and all of a sudden the tension rises even astronomically to what it was prior. Right. And I think that we need to say and ask ourselves, look at how policing is done in the suburbs, in wealthier, whiter America. When people make mistakes, the answer is not to throw them in jail. No. The answer is not to, put them in a cage and throw away the key. The answer is to try and find a non-carceral solution.
Absolutely.
Community service, something where, they learn from their mistakes. There's a sense of accountability and growth, all these kinds of things, which for many people in this country, especially black people, are not offered the same opportunity.
Are you for defunding the police? Are you for serious reform that people can see on the ground?
I am in favor of defunding the police.
So that was not all that long ago. Now he says that, he's going to apologize to the NYPD. So Newsworthy Mamdani apologizes to the NYPD. Here he is now.
You said in the past, I almost don't need to go through it, it's been said many times, but that you called the police force racist, said they were a major threat to public safety, called them wicked and corrupt. And now the report that you apologized to 24 members of the NYPD. What did you say to them?
I apologized for the language that I used, and I spoke to them about the fact that I want to work with them to deliver public safety. Because what we're seeing in the city right now is we're asking officers to do nearly everything we can think of. We used to ask officers to focus on serious crimes. Now we're asking them to focus also on the mental health crisis, to focus also on homelessness. In 1 year alone, the NYPD receives 200,000 mental health calls.
Police officers that I spoke to, they don't want a behind closed doors apology. They want a broad public apology for the things that you suggested about them. Will you do that right now?
Absolutely. I'll apologize to police officers right here, because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day.
I totally believe him. I totally believe him now that he apologized, that he loves the NYPD now. Now he loves them. Now, to be fair, he also does want to decriminalize prostitution because he's afraid that it's going to hurt black and brown ladies, presumably because the police are, a bunch of racists.
And to follow the advice of district attorneys that we have here in New York City, the current Manhattan DA, the former Manhattan DA, the current Brooklyn DA, the former Manhattan DA having said that prosecuting women for prostitution is something that actually leads to less safety. And what we need to do is provide an economy of opportunity.
Just a quick clarification. So no legalization, how about decriminalization?
I do not think that we should be prosecuting women who are struggling, who are currently being thrown in jail, and then being offered job opportunities. I think we should be actually providing those kinds of opportunities at the first point of interaction.
Yes, we should decriminalize. Also, we should abolish the gang database, because who knows what those wonderful cops that he loves so much might do with the gang database.
Let me ask you about a bunch of different policies just to kind of get your thinking out there. If city council legislation to abolish the NYPD gang database were to pass, would you support and sign that?
I have supported that proposal. It's one I've supported because of the vast dragnet has meant the inclusion of New Yorkers on the basis of whether they go out late, photos they put on social media, so much of the facts of life of being a young New Yorker. And yet it then becomes a mark of suspicion. And it is a concern of mine that we do not live up to, of all people, Eric Adams's words in 2021, who said that New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice. Mm-hmm. There's no question that we have to take gangs extremely seriously. And yet I find that a database that includes New Yorkers on such bases is one that doesn't actually do exactly that.
So I'm just wondering, like, does he still raise your hand in New York if you believe that Zohran Mamdani is going to bring down the crime rates? Anyone? Bueller. But don't worry, he's totally not going to wreck the economy. I mean, sure, the old Zohran Mamdani said that he was fighting for socialism, like to the Democratic Socialists of America. I mean, that is the thing he said.
Where we have to make it very clear that people cannot eat words. People need to have actual food. People need to have actual houses to live in. People need to have actual schools that they can go to. And I think it's so critical that this journey into understanding the way in which we should relate to power, this journey in understanding that it is socialism that we are fighting for, is a journey that should begin as soon as possible for every single person in this country and in this world.
So, I mean, that was old Zohran. But new Zohran, well, I mean, to be fair, he also thinks capitalism is bad.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on, is dignity and taking on income inequality. And for too long, politicians have pretended that we're spectators to that crisis of affordability. We're actually actors, and we have the choice to exacerbate it, like Mayor Adams has done, or to respond to it and resolve it, like I'm planning to do.
So, yeah. I mean, guys, that's what you want to do? Him? Really? Okay, New Yorkers. So, final closing message on Zohran Mamdani. If you're voting for Curtis Sliwa, do not do this stupid thing. What are you doing? Vote for Andrew Cuomo. Yes, I don't like Andrew Cuomo either. Yes, I think Andrew Cuomo's a schmuck. But you know who's way more dangerous than schmuck Andrew Cuomo? Zohran Mamdani. What are you doing? Do not do this, folks. Please do not. Listen. You're going to get what you ask for. Good and hard. That's the theory of democracy. But for your own sake, because I have many friends who live in New York City, because I love New York City in many ways. I just have a love-hate relationship with New York City, to be fair. Like, don't do this. Really. Also, America's kind of tied to the future, the financial center of planet Earth. So, please, I'm asking you, do not do this thing. Alrighty, meanwhile, Democrats even are uncomfortable with all of this. Hakeem Jeffries, for example, was asked yesterday whether the future of the Democratic Party was Zohran Mamdani. And even Hakeem Jeffries was like, I don't know if I want to say that.
What I indicated is that if we truly believe, as many of us do, that Donald Trump represents an existential threat to everything, that in order for us to get from where we are to where we need to go and end the national nightmare, then House Democrats are going to have to be successful in taking back control of the House of Representatives.
What about the slow embrace of Mamdani?
I issued a statement on the eve of early voting, and the statement speaks for itself.
Well, again, I think that he is uncomfortable, but here's the thing, folks. If you let the radicals control your party, you got a problem on your hands. Alrighty, folks, coming up, there are two other big races happening today, one in Virginia, one in New Jersey. We'll get to that in a moment. First, let's be honest. Traditional phone systems weren't built for how businesses actually work today. When you miss a call, you're not just missing a conversation, you're losing business. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, is the modern alternative, designed to help you work smarter, build stronger relationships, and never miss an opportunity. If you're tired of juggling multiple phones or being chained to a landline, Quo is exactly what your business needs. As the #1 business phone system, Quo streamlines all your customer communications through a simple app on your phone or computer, meaning you can literally run your business from anywhere. What's really smart about it is how your entire team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like they're working from a shared inbox, which keeps response times lightning fast and customers genuinely happy. But here's where it gets really interesting. Quo's built-in AI does all the heavy lifting by automatically logging calls, creating summaries, even automating your next steps. Their AI agent can actually answer calls, qualify leads, and route customers to the right team member, so you never have to worry about leaving customers hanging even after hours. Whether you're flying solo or leading a growing team, Quo keeps everyone connected while helping you deliver those standout customer experiences that make all the difference. It's no wonder over 90,000 businesses are already using it. Quo is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/Ben. That's QUO.com/Ben. You can even keep your existing number for free. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Also, did you know that when your metabolism is working correctly, you feel the benefits in pretty much every aspect of your life? I found a valuable tool that gives me insight to create a healthy metabolism for my body. It's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It measures your metabolism through your breath. It lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs, giving you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management, which we could probably all use these days. All I have to do is breathe into my Lumen first thing in the morning. I know exactly what's going on with my metabolism, and then Lumen gives me a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on my actual measurements. Yeah, I use Lumen especially when I am on the road to determine, how my body is processing things. I can't exercise as much. I want to be more careful about how I eat. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns food into fuel. Optimal metabolic health means easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep. Lumen provides crucial insights and helpful guidance to improve your metabolic health, but it requires effort and lifestyle changes to actually see results. Winter is the perfect season to build strength from within. Stay energized, stay resilient, take charge of your metabolism. Go to lumen.me/Shapiro to get an additional 10% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Shapiro for 10% off on top of any offers or sales running on their website. Okay, meanwhile, there are two other major races happening today. Race number one is the New Jersey gubernatorial race, and that race is shockingly close. That is a race between Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mickey Sherrill. According to ABC News Washington Bureau Chief Rick Klein, this is by all accounts the tightest race happening this election day. The gubernatorial race is likely to be a nail-biter, which is pretty incredible because remember, New Jersey is deep blue. It is not like moderate blue. It is a deep, deep blue state. The polling in the New Jersey gubernatorial race is shockingly tight. According to USA Today, it is a near dead heat. A near dead heat. It's going to come down to turnout. Atlas Intel says that essentially there's like a slight advantage at this point for Mickey Sherrill. The worst case scenario for the Democratic Party in some ways, actually, believe it or not, is that Zohran Mamdani wins in New York City and Mickey Sherrill loses in New Jersey and Abigail Spanberger loses in Virginia. If that were to happen, the Democrats are going to have a real tough time holding off the progressive left because a lot of Democrats are going to take away the idea that somehow the victorious message is the insane pro-jihadi, pro-Marxist viewpoint of Zohran Mamdani and that moderate Democrats will lose even in blue states like Virginia, like New Jersey. Ciattarelli is a traditional Republican. According to Politico, he wants to slash 30% of state spending, or about $17 billion of the state's $58.7 billion budget. He says he would essentially eliminate the so-called millionaire's tax, lower business taxes, and keep the state's sales tax steady. He also wants to increase spending in certain areas like public employee pensions and state aid for special education. That's essentially a sort of Reaganomics approach, that if you lower the tax rate, you'll end up increasing economic growth, which means that your tax receipts will actually go up. Ciattarelli recently said, if we are very good at streamlining the state government, downsizing it, we can afford these tax cuts. But mark my words, if these reforms work to grow our economy, we're going to have more tax revenue than we know what to do with. It'll be fascinating to see if New Jerseyans decide that they want Ciattarelli. Ciattarelli came very, very close to beating Governor Phil Murphy in the last gubernatorial race. He's ran an excellent race. This time, if you are listening to the sound of my voice in New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli is the pick. Meanwhile, in Virginia, the Virginia gubernatorial election, this appears to be the least close of the races at this point. According to the latest polling, Abigail Spanberger, who's considered a sort of what would now be called the Blue Dog Democrat, she isn't really, she's a more moderate Democrat than sort of the progressive wild-eyed crew. She's leading anywhere between 10 and 7 points, according to a slew of polls. Now, speaking of the Virginia and New Jersey races, Kalshi, one of our sponsors, the prediction market, they say that Mickey Sherrill has above an 80% chance of winning the New Jersey governorships. And meanwhile, Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, a near lock. She's almost at 100% in that Virginia market over on Kalshi. Meanwhile, Winsome Earl Sears, who's the current lieutenant governor, is stuck between 40 and 45% in all of the polls. If that race remains close, there's a good shot that the Democrats' Attorney General nominee, Jay Jones, is going to lose. He, of course, is the guy who said he wanted to kill the Speaker of the House of Delegates in Virginia and criticized that person's children as little fascists. If somehow Spanberger wins by a very, very broad margin in Virginia, she might carry Jones over the line. If not, Jones could lose. But the bottom line is this. The Democratic Party is about to face a serious reckoning today. It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out. Meanwhile, Democrats on the national level remain extremely confused about what to do next. They seem to think that if they just keep upping the language against President Trump, somehow this will redound to their benefit. So, for example, the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries yesterday accused President Trump and the GOP of running what he called a pedo protection program. They're still doing this Jeffrey Epstein thing.
The fact that Republicans have canceled votes now for 6 consecutive weeks, missing in action, taxpayer-funded vacation, running the pedophile protection program while doing nothing to make life better for the American people.
Okay, I'm really like you're still on Epstein. The Democrats, they think they're going to win because they think that Donald Trump is covering up for Jeffrey Epstein. That's your play. Maybe if you just drag Nancy Pelosi out of the crypt to go nuclear on President Trump. She, by the way, announced yesterday that she would not be seeking her 127th term in Congress. So I assume that means that someone similarly crazily left will be taking over her seat. But, in one of her final interviews here, she went nuclear on President Trump.
Just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled the press. He's scared people who are in our country legally.
Okay, again, if this is the best you can do, Trump is going to keep winning. He is. Meanwhile, speaking of President Trump victories, I love this. President Trump has been targeting the government of Nigeria for its willingness to tolerate Islamist terrorist groups attacking and murdering Christians by the thousands in Nigeria. There's been an ongoing actual human rights crisis targeting Christians in Nigeria. And President Trump put out a statement saying that if the Nigerian government continues to look the other way as Christians are slaughtered, then the United States might have to intervene to do something about it. Now, again, I trust that President Trump is not, in fact, a radical interventionist who wants to put hundreds of thousands of American troops on the ground in Nigeria or anything like that. But if a little bit of pressure can be put to the Nigerian government, or if a minimum of necessary force can be used in Nigeria in order to protect Christians in Nigeria, that seems to me well worthwhile. Here was President Trump yesterday.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
Now, the truth is that in Nigeria, the violence is not only Christians. There's tremendous violence in Nigeria. The problem in Nigeria, of course, has been going on for legitimately decades at this point. According to CNN, both Christians and Muslims have been victims of attacks by radical Muslims in Nigeria. Over the weekend, there was a mass slaughter of Christians by Islamist insurgents, according to President Trump. The Nigerian government rejects claims it is not doing enough to protect Christians from violence. The Nigerian presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, told CNN, "We are shocked that President Trump is mulling an invasion of our country." President Trump also threatened to stop all U.S. aid to Nigeria if its government fails to take steps to stop the killing of Christians. He warned the proposed intervention would be fast and vicious, aimed at eliminating the Islamist terrorists he said were responsible for these atrocities. Nigeria is split about half and half between Christians and Muslims. The northern region is predominantly Muslim. The southern region is largely Christian. Boko Haram, which is a radical Islamist group that you will remember back from the Obama days for kidnapping a wide bevy of schoolgirls. And you remember the entire Obama administration holding up dumb signs saying, "Bring back our girls," that did not achieve the bringing back of the girls. Well, in 2012, they issued an ultimatum ordering Christians in the northern region to leave while calling on Muslims in the south to come back north. There is certainly systematic killing of Christians in the north, for sure, including mass slaughter. And the Nigerian government certainly has not been doing enough to stop it. So good for President Trump. Trump on Saturday doubled down on his allegations that the government is failing to rein in the persecution of Christians. He put on Truth Social a statement, quote, "If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities." That threat came after President Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. That is a formal U.S. declaration of countries it says are failing to act over religious freedom violations. Nigeria continues to deny that Christians are being persecuted. With that said, the government is certainly not doing enough to protect Christians in the northern regions for sure. Okay, well, bizarrely enough, Tucker Carlson found a way to somehow link this to the Jews. Of course. What else is new? Tucker Carlson, a day goes by, it ends in a Y, and Tucker Carlson has comment on Israelis somewhere, Jews somewhere. Quote, how come Mark Levin would label Donald Trump an anti-Jewish racist if he made the exact same statement about Israel? Well, I mean, Israel isn't persecuting Christians, so there's that. Israel is not allowing the mass killing of Christians, so there is that. In fact, it is the areas where Israel has pulled out where Christians have been severely persecuted, like in Judea, Samaria, and the Gaza Strip. Everywhere where Israel's boots are not, the Christian population has radically declined across the Middle East. Somehow Tucker Carlson is trying to link Islamist terror groups and tacit support from the Nigerian government to Israel, somehow in his newsletter. Quote, this may be hard for Mark Levin and his ethno-narcissist caucus to accept, but criticism of their beloved country has nothing to do with Judaism. Just like Trump's statement on Nigeria is not an attack on blacks, it's about putting America first. What in the actual hell is he talking about? Well, I mean, the bottom line is, no matter what, Tucker seems to be able to find a way to swivel everything into a story about Israel or Mark Levin or Jews in some form or fashion, which, of course, is part and parcel of the fact that he decided to have on the Nazi supporter Nick Fuentes last week and then gloss him. That glossy interview with Nick Fuentes then allowed Nick Fuentes yesterday to take a victory lap over the vice president, JD Vance, because Nick Fuentes believes that since JD Vance and Tucker Carlson are personally close, and since Tucker Carlson was able to have on Nick Fuentes and massage him without comment from the vice president of the United States, that this means that he now has JD Vance's candidacy by the short hairs. Here's Nick Fuentes saying just that.
He's getting squeezed because the Groypers are on the one hand saying, hey, listen, fat boy, we want America first. You want to run for president? We want to hear you say America first. And on the other side, he's got his donors, and they're saying they're horrible anti-Semites. You have to disavow them. You have to forcefully condemn them. Condemn Tucker. Condemn the Groypers. Now, if Vance condemns the Groypers, we are deploying to Iowa.
So that's correct. Nick Fuentes is using Tucker Carlson as cover in order to threaten the vice president of the United States. That's what is happening. So well done to that very, very good friend of the vice president's, Tucker Carlson. It's really solid stuff. Meanwhile, it's a stressful week. I know it's election day in New York and in New Jersey and Virginia, so I wanted to do something fun. I sat down with the greatest mentalist on planet Earth, Oz Perlman, and this actually is just fun, like wildly enjoyable. Here we go. Well, joining us online is Oz Perlman. He's an Emmy award-winning mentalist. You've seen him pretty much everywhere, and he has a brand new book out titled Read Your Mind, Proven Habits for Success from the World's Greatest Mentalists. Oz, thanks so much for your time and joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Ben, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, so tell me about the book. How did the book start? Where did this come from?
Well, for years, people ask me the same question after every show. How do you do it? How do you do it? Right? And what they're really looking for, I realize, is not to know how I'm doing the mentalist tricks, because that's what this is, entertainment. I am not psychic. I am not supernatural. I tell people this over and over and over. This is a learnable skill where I've spent about 3 decades learning how people think. And so what I kind of figured out is to distill what is it that made me successful as a mentalist, and what are those same attributes, skills, and habits that I can teach to you to achieve success in whatever you do. Now, that could be in your personal life, at work, in your relationships. Reading people more effectively is the ultimate cheat code in life. Everyone achieves success by other people helping them as well.
Well, I mean, I think it's such a brilliant point, because when people go to a show like yours, it actually is disheartening if you figure out how the trick is done. It's not as though people actually want to know how the trick is done. What they want to know is that it's a skill that's been cultivated over the course of many, many years. And so you offering people a window into doing that, I think is really an incredible thing. So I had heard that you actually wanted to do something on the show. So I'm totally up for that. So because frankly,
Well,
your stuff's amazing. So
thank you. Well, I'm going to leave that till the end because if I do it now, your brain is scrambled. So I'm going to tell you more about the book, but I'm leaving that as the cherry on the sundae. I always save the best for last. That's in the book.
So what are some of the biggest tips that you have in the book?
So the chapters go through and they break down a lot of different things that I think apply to everyone's life. One of the biggest is when I was a teenager, I was not this extrovert. I didn't have the confidence to go on stage in front of thousands or millions of people. Where did that develop? So the two big things that the book kicks off with is how to overcome fear of rejection, which I think sinks more dreams than anything else. It's the fear of failure that doesn't allow you to actually go for your goals. And the second one is how to supercharge your confidence. Like, ways that you can do this now so it doesn't take years of repetition, but how do you rewire your brain and trick your brain? Because that's effectively what I do with people. I know how people think. So I'm trying to help you get inside your own brain to see what's holding you back. And the confidence is such a big one. A couple other massive things is note-taking, which sounds so silly, but note-taking and your memory. Improving both of those tactics have given me a leg up on my competition at what I do by orders of magnitude. And they're so silly, but I want to teach you actionable, practical takeaways that you're going to do today, not pie in the sky. The book is action items. Start this today. And if I did my job well, people are leaving Amazon reviews in 10 years saying I'm still using the things Oz showed me.
And when you talk about these things that you have to cultivate, how long should it take you to be able to cultivate this if you're starting as an adult? I mean, I know for me, obviously in the job that I have, I started speaking at a very, very young age. And so sort of naturally, if you do things from the time you're young, you end up accruing tens of thousands of hours doing the thing. But if you're starting this as an adult, you're reading your book, how long should it take to start actually seeing the results of some of the things you're teaching?
So I think that results have to happen instantly. And I think for routines to ingrain themselves, typically the first 2 weeks are the hardest. When you start a diet, when you start a fitness regimen, that's when people crumble. Between the 2 and 3 week mark is when you get muscle memory and it starts to become self-fulfilling because you see the rewards. So you keep doing it because you're already getting the rewards. The first 2 or 3 weeks are the hardest. And that's where the book guides you on how to overcome that initial resistance, because those are the pain points where people quit. And I'm well aware of that. I am human just like anyone else. So I've studied what made me successful, what made things work. How do you kind of train your mind in such a way that when you hit those speed bumps, you do not talk yourself out of it, but instead talk yourself into it.
You know, one of the things you mentioned there was overcoming rejection. And it really isn't just the rejection itself that you have to overcome. As you say, it's fear of rejection. People are afraid of what it's going to feel like when they are rejected. What's sort of your first tip, just to give us a clue as to how people should move on that?
So the fear is what's crippling. It's not the rejection. Honestly, the rejection, once you take it a few times, you get desensitized, but it's the anxiety. So I'll tell you a great example. When I was 14 years old, I'd been doing magic for 1 year. I got a job at a restaurant walking table to table. God help me. I don't know how I talked my way into it, but I sweet talked my way into this gig. I walked a half a mile from my house. Long story short, when I walked up to tables, nobody wanted to see this 14-year-old shrimpy kid do magic tricks. And it was a real blow to my ego. And I realized if I can't overcome this pain when people keep saying no to me, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I created, for lack of a better term, a split personality. And I tricked my brain into assuming that when people thought negative of me, it wasn't me. It was like having an agent if you're in entertainment. They didn't like Oz the magician. They don't know Oz Perlman the person. And that way I wasn't internalizing it. I want to give you just a great visual metaphor. If I give you a bowl of water and I give you salt and you fill the water with salt, that's now salt water. No matter what you do, your mood is ruined. You've internalized the rejection. If you can find a way in your brain, and I show you how to do it, to put a piece of plexiglass in the middle where all the salt only gets poured into one side, then the other side remains fresh water. You're going to do that with your own psyche so that you don't take that pain and hurt and rejection and feel it. You move it off of yourself. It deflects. And when you hit a no, when people say no, I hear in my head a not yet. I'm going to find a way to win them over. I'm going to find a way to achieve these goals. And that's a mindset game. That has nothing to do with external factors. That's internal.
You know, when you first started doing this, obviously you started doing this as a kid. Yeah, I think the thing that people mistake about very successful people, and you obviously are top of your industry, is how long people have to sort of work in obscurity in order to get there. People see you and they're like, "Oh, you must have instantly been a success," but it's always an instant success, 10, 15, 20 years in the making. So when was sort of your first break where you realized that you were now a huge success at what you did?
Well, I mean, this past week has been wild. My book is #3 on all of Amazon, which is beyond surreal. And I'm such a competitive SOB that I'm trying to gun for #1 still, even though Diary of a Wimpy Kid is beating me. And I bought the book for my kids, so I stabbed myself in the back. But shout out to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I love those books. I did America's Got Talent in 2015. And that was 10 years after I quit my job on Wall Street. And you called it obscurity. I was a guy who was working the bar mitzvah sector. I was working bridal showers. I was going table to table at restaurants 4 nights a week, getting in those reps, learning how to improve my craft. And even when I tried out for America's Got Talent, I only got on the 3rd try. So when people say to me, oh, well, you were on that show, so I know why you got famous. How many times did you try out? I didn't give up after the first time or the second. I went back to the drawing board. And like I said, again, that phrase in my mind, it's truly the way I'm wired. It's not a no when it comes to my goals. When someone says, you're not going to get on Joe Rogan, you're not going to get on Ben Shapiro, I go, not yet, not no. I will find a way. I will keep taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but eventually I will get there. And so my mind creates the opportunities, because once you've decided to give up and you have a no mentality, you don't search for the moments that you can, there's always those little moments. Somebody knows somebody. How do you win people over? There's a chapter in the book about mentors, and so many people have uplifted me in my career. They have helped me. I'm sure people have helped you, where they've given you knowledge, they've given you opportunities, and there's ways to win people over and have relationships that are give and take, not just take. I've learned that I want to give people much, much more, so that the moment when I want to ask them for a favor, they're already willing to help me. They want to help me. And you want the same in your life. You want people to be your champions.
Well, the book is Read Your Mind, Proven Habits for Success from the world's greatest mentalist. Oz Perlman is the mission. There you see. He brought it on screen. So now you can see it. Yeah, I don't have a copy. He does. So we're able to make this happen.
We're getting you one right away, Ben.
Well, I appreciate that, because I definitely will read it. So I would be remiss if I did not allow our audience to see a little taste of what it is that you do. So go for it.
Let's do something. So you asked me, when did things blow up? I was on Joe Rogan earlier this year. I guessed his ATM PIN code, broke the internet because he got angry, visibly disturbed. And so what the comments said is, let me ask you a question. Does anyone know your ATM PIN code?
No.
Does your wife know it?
My wife does. We share a bank account. Yeah.
So you share a PIN. So right away, right there in the comments, people go, well, what if he got to Ben's wife? Right. And that's what people think. They think that I ask questions that I already know the answer to. So what if we switch gears and I couldn't have known who knows your PIN code. You go to a code that nobody else would know, not even your wife, something else with a meaning to you, and that your producer wouldn't know, that nobody would know. Can you try to, I don't know again where this comes from or what this is, but what code is there that has a meaning to you? Is there something like that? It's not a birthday, is it?
Sure. It is not a birthday. It's actually a mistaken number I once typed in, years ago, and then it just became the code that I remember.
That's perfect. Is there anybody in the world that would know this, or any way I could have found this out online, or sleuthing, or private investigators, or all these crazy theories?
No.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to lie to me. Don't tell me the real code. Make up a fake code right now. Just make one up. Go. Give me a 4-digit code that's not the real one. Say it.
9233.
9233, 9233. So right away, most people swing big. They try to avoid the same number. 9233. Most people can't avoid doing at least one of the same numbers when I rush them. If I had not rushed you, you would have likely not switched. You would have switched all the numbers. If your number was 1, 2, 3, 4, you would have done 5, 6, 7, 8. My guess is one of the numbers are the same. Look at you smiling. Now I know. And I think the first number, 9233, last 2 numbers were repeats. There's repeats in your code. Think of the first digit. You did a 9. You're a man of extremes. I like it. 1. The first number is a 1, isn't it, of your real code?
Yes.
This is not staged, Ben. This is not,
this is
not what I would ask you. Now, 9233. Where did the 3s go? You know what I think? I think the 3s went at the beginning. They were the flip. 1, 1. The code starts with a 1 and a 1. Is that correct? It's 11. And then you screwed up with the 3. You left the 3 at the end. 1183. Is that the code?
What the? Yes, that's the code. That's wild. Whoa, dude. Okay. Whoa. That's insane. That's totally insane.
Read
Yeah.
your mind,
You
everybody.
need-
That's
folks.
it. I'm not going to teach you to guess Ben Shapiro's pin code, but I will show you how to get inside the heads of people around you to achieve success, because that is the ultimate hack in life, is knowing what people are thinking and getting inside your own head.
Good Lord, that's crazy. Okay, go check out. I mean, listen, if you can read that book and then you can do that to everybody, you can make yourself a very rich person. Go check that out. Read your mind.
Use your powers only for good.
Yeah, exactly. Read your mind. Proven habits for success from the world's greatest mentalist. I mean, hard to argue that he's not the world's greatest. That he's not the world's greatest mentalist after watching that. That's unbelievable, guys. All right, Oz, thanks so much for the time, and I'm going to get you out of here before you start cracking into my trading accounts.
Thank you, Ben. I might have already. I'm not going to lie to you.
Alrighty, folks, the show continues for our members right now. We will dive into the vaunted Ben Shapiro Show mailbag. Remember, you have to be a member in order to ask questions and have them answered over there. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.